At the beginning of the story, Mirabel's grandmother, Abuela, tells her the story of their family. She says that many years ago, she met Mirabel's grandfather at a festival, and little by little, they fell in love. Soon, they got married, and a few months later, they had triplets. But one day, dangerous people attacked their village, forcing everyone to leave their homes and run for their lives. Even then, those people kept chasing them, so Mirabel's grandfather stepped forward to protect the family. But sadly, he never came back. Abuela says she was completely heartbroken after losing him. But during their darkest moment, a miracle happened. The candle she was holding turned into a magical candle that could never burn out. That miracle created a safe place for the family to live, a magical village they named Encanto. As time passed, the miracle grew even stronger and created a magical house for the family. In this movie, the house is called Casita because it's not just a normal home, it's alive and full of magic. Later, when Abuela's children grew older, the miracle gave each of them a magical gift, and when their children became old enough, they received magical powers too. Thanks to these amazing gifts, the Madrigal family turned their home and village into a paradise. Then Abuela tells Mirabel that tonight is very special because she is finally turning 5 years old. That means the magical candle will give her a special gift too. Abuela tells her to use that gift to help the village and make the Madrigal family proud. Finally, the big moment arrives when Mirabel is supposed to receive her magical gift. But something shocking happens. Mirabel doesn't get any power at all. After this, the movie jumps forward 10 years later. Mirabel is now older, and she spends her time helping the villagers alongside the rest of her family, because the Madrigals always use their gifts to help everyone around them. But soon, the village children become curious and start asking Mirabel about her family's magical powers. So Mirabel begins telling them all about the Madrigal family. She explains that it was Abuela who received the magical candle that gave them their enchanted home. Then she talks about Abuela's first daughter, Peppa, who has the power to control the weather. Whenever Peppa becomes sad, nervous, or upset, storms and rain clouds start appearing around her. Next, Mirabel talks about Abuela's second son, Bruno, who can see the future, but Bruno mysteriously disappeared years ago, and nobody knows where he went. Then she talks about her own mom, Julieta, whose cooking has magical healing powers. If someone gets hurt or sick, Julieta can heal them just by feeding them her special food and desserts. The children then ask Mirabel about her sisters and cousins, so she continues explaining their powers. Her cousin Dolores can hear even the tiniest sounds from far away. Her cousin Camilo is a shapeshifter who can transform into anyone he wants. And Antonio is about to receive his gift tonight because he's finally turning 5 years old. Then Mirabel talks about her two sisters. Isabella has the power to create and control flowers, which is why everyone thinks she's absolutely perfect and loves her. Meanwhile, Luisa has incredible strength and courage, allowing her to lift almost anything with ease. After explaining everyone's powers, Mirabel starts leaving, but the children suddenly ask her about her own magic gift. Since Mirabel never received a power, she doesn't know what to say and quickly tries to avoid the question. But then her cousin Dolores accidentally reveals the truth to all the children. Mirabel never got a gift. Hearing this shocks everyone. One little girl even tells Mirabel that if she were in her place, she would feel really sad. Mirabel smiles and replies that she isn't sad, because the truth is, with or without a magical gift, she is just as special as the rest of her family. After that, Mirabel joins the family preparations, because everyone is getting ready to celebrate Antonio receiving his magical gift. She tries her best to help, but Abuela stops her from getting involved. Deep down, Abuela is scared that Antonio might end up like Mirabel and not receive a gift either. This makes Mirabel feel really hurt and lonely, so she quietly goes back to her room. There, she finds Antonio hiding inside because he's nervous. He's afraid that if he doesn't get a magical gift, people won't see him as special, just like Mirabel. Mirabel comforts Antonio and tells him not to be afraid. She says that he will definitely get his gift, and she's sure his gift will be the best one of all. Then Mirabel gives Antonio a special present, because once he receives his magical power, he'll move into his own magical room inside Casita. Meanwhile, all the villagers start heading toward the Madrigal house to celebrate Antonio's ceremony. Soon, the special moment finally arrives, when Antonio is about to receive his magical gift. So Abuela calls him toward the magical door, but Antonio is feeling really nervous, so he asks Mirabel to walk with him. At first, Mirabel refuses because she's scared that if Antonio also doesn't get a gift, everyone might blame her and think she brings bad luck. Still, after Antonio keeps begging her, Mirabel finally agrees and walks beside him toward the door. Antonio touches the magical candle and then places his hand on the door. Suddenly, the door lights up and transforms into the entrance to his magical room. At that moment, Antonio receives the power to communicate with animals, and immediately all kinds of animals gather around him. Antonio becomes extremely happy, and the villagers celebrate too, because the Madrigal family has received another magical gift. After that, everyone enters Antonio's magical room to celebrate. The room is enormous and looks like an entire jungle filled with trees, waterfalls, and wild animals. Everyone is amazed and excited. Soon, the family starts taking pictures together, but nobody calls Mirabel to join the photos. That really hurts her feelings because, unlike everyone else, she doesn't have a magical gift. Feeling left out, she quietly walks outside and starts crying alone. But then, something terrifying happens. Mirabel suddenly notices that Casita, the magical house, is beginning to crack apart. Large cracks start spreading across the walls and floors. She also sees the magical candle flickering as its light begins growing weaker. Panicking, Mirabel rushes back into Antonio's room and tells everyone that the house is breaking apart. Hearing this shocks the whole family, and everyone quickly runs outside. But when they look around, everything seems completely normal. The cracks are gone, the candle looks fine, and Casita appears perfectly safe. Because of this, nobody believes Mirabel. Abuela quickly tells everyone that everything is fine and that nothing has happened to their magical home. Soon, the celebration starts again like nothing ever happened. Mirabel feels confused and scared. She tells her mother, Julieta, that what she saw was real. She even shows her cut hand and explains that the cracks were everywhere in the house. But Julieta gently tells her that she thinks Mirabel is just overwhelmed and stressed. Then she gives her some magical food, which instantly heals the cut on her hand. Mirabel insists that it wasn't her imagination, but Julieta sadly tells her that Bruno also started acting strangely like this before he disappeared. She says Bruno used to talk about troubling visions too, and she doesn't want the same thing happening to Mirabel. Then she tells her to get some rest. Later that night, Mirabel lies in bed, but she can't stop thinking about the cracks and the collapsing house. Unable to sleep, she walks toward the magical candle. There, she finds Abuela standing alone in front of it. Abuela looks heartbroken and is quietly crying while asking her late husband for help. Deep inside, she also believes that what Mirabel saw might have been a vision of the future. Abuela is terrified because she never wants to relive the tragedy she experienced years ago when they lost their home and family. She's scared that the miracle protecting them could disappear, leaving them homeless once again. Seeing how worried her grandmother is, Mirabel makes a decision. She promises herself that she will save both Casita and the family's miracle, no matter what. The next day, Mirabel goes to her cousin Dolores, since Dolores can hear almost everything. Mirabel asks her why nobody is talking about what happened the previous night. Dolores quietly tells her that Luisa has also been worried about the magic because one of her eyes kept twitching after the ceremony. So Mirabel decides to talk to Luisa. But before she gets the chance, it's time for dinner, and the entire family gathers together at the table. During dinner, Abuela reminds everyone that they should never become arrogant because of their magical gifts. She says they must work even harder and continue helping the villagers together. Then Abuela announces that the Guzman family is coming over tonight because Mariano wants to ask for Isabella's hand in marriage. Because of this, everyone needs to help prepare for the special occasion and assist the villagers as well. Soon after, Luisa heads out into the village and starts helping people with their heavy work. Mirabel follows her and asks about the strange eye twitch from last night. She wants to know if something is wrong with the magic. Luisa finally admits that she's afraid of losing her powers. She explains that when Mirabel saw the cracks in Casita, her own strength started weakening too. Hearing this, Mirabel becomes even more worried and asks what's happening to the family's magic. Luisa says she doesn't fully know, but when she was younger, she overheard the adults talking. Before Bruno disappeared, he apparently saw something terrible about their house in one of his visions, but nobody knows exactly what he saw. Luisa tells Mirabel that if she truly wants answers about the weakening magic, she should start by searching Bruno's room and finding his old vision. But she warns her to be careful because Bruno's room is forbidden and extremely dangerous. Trying to stay hidden from everyone, Mirabel secretly sneaks into Uncle Bruno's room. Inside, the entire place is covered in sand, almost like a giant desert. She climbs countless stairs until she finally reaches the top, where she notices a strange green light glowing inside a room. There, she discovers broken pieces of one of Bruno's magical visions. When Mirabel carefully puts the pieces together, she's shocked to see her own face inside the vision. But suddenly, the whole room begins shaking violently. Panicking, Mirabel quickly grabs all the vision fragments and escapes from Bruno's room. As soon as she comes out, Abuela notices the condition she's in and asks where she has been. But before Mirabel can answer, Luisa suddenly arrives in tears and tells everyone that her powers are fading. After saying that, she runs back to her room crying. Abuela immediately blames Mirabel and says she must have done something wrong. Then she warns her to stay away from Luisa until the Guzman family leaves after tonight's dinner. After that, Abuela walks away, leaving Mirabel feeling even more confused. Back in her room, Mirabel starts trying to rebuild Bruno's vision. But just then, her Aunt Peppa enters the room to collect some of Antonio's leftover things. Mirabel takes the chance to ask Peppa what Bruno was really like. The family explains that Bruno always saw bad things in his visions, and somehow those visions usually came true. Hearing this only makes Mirabel more desperate to understand why she appeared in Bruno's prophecy. So once she's alone again, she carefully puts the vision back together. And this time, she's horrified by what she sees. The vision clearly shows Casita cracking apart and collapsing, while Mirabel herself is standing right in front of it. It almost looks like the destruction of the house is somehow connected to her. Just then, Mirabel's father walks in. The moment he sees Bruno's vision, he becomes terrified too. Mirabel asks him if she's truly the reason the magic is disappearing and the house is falling apart. But her father comforts her and says they shouldn't tell anyone yet, because Abuela wants tonight to go perfectly without any problems. Then he secretly hides the vision pieces in his pocket. Unfortunately, Dolores overhears everything, and since she can never keep secrets because of her super hearing, Mirabel and her father instantly panic. Later that evening, the whole family gathers for dinner with the Guzman family. During the dinner, Mariano is just about to propose to Isabella, but suddenly Antonio's animals accidentally rebuild Bruno's vision in front of everyone. At the same time, Dolores blurts out the truth and tells the entire family that Mirabel found one of Bruno's visions, a vision showing Mirabel connected to the destruction of the magic and the collapse of their home. The moment everyone hears this, chaos breaks loose. Cracks begin spreading across Casita once again, and the entire house starts shaking. Everyone becomes terrified. Mariano even decides to cancel the engagement and quickly leaves with his family. Now the whole family is angry at Mirabel. She tries explaining to Abuela that there must be another reason behind all of this, but Abuela refuses to listen. Then Mirabel suddenly notices some rats running away while carrying pieces of Bruno's vision. Curious, she follows them and discovers a hidden passage behind a painting inside the walls of Casita. When she enters the secret path, she finally comes face to face with Bruno himself. But the moment Bruno sees Mirabel, he immediately tries to run away. Mirabel chases after him, but she accidentally slips and nearly falls into a deep gap inside the walls. She screams for help, and Bruno quickly saves her and pulls her back up safely. After that, Bruno takes Mirabel to the small hidden room he secretly built for himself using broken furniture and leftover objects from the house. Mirabel asks him how long he's been living there. Bruno sadly explains that he has been hiding inside the walls of Casita ever since the family started believing that his gift only brought problems instead of helping people. Even though everyone misunderstood him, Bruno never wanted to leave because he loved his family and still wanted to stay close to them. Mirabel then asks the question that's been haunting her. Why was she inside his vision? Was she really the reason the family was in danger? Bruno tells her that even he doesn't fully understand the vision. He explains that Abuela asked him to look into the future after Mirabel failed to receive a gift because she became worried about the miracle. When Bruno used his powers, he saw Casita breaking apart with Mirabel standing in front of it. But the strange thing was, the vision kept changing. It was unclear and unstable, almost as if Mirabel's future hadn't been decided yet. Because of that, Bruno never showed the vision to anyone and destroyed it instead. He knew that if the family saw it, they would once again think Bruno only brought bad news and disaster. That's why he disappeared after that day and chose to stay hidden inside the walls of the house. Mirabel realizes that Bruno sacrificed everything to protect her, and she thanks him for it. But Bruno sadly tells her that he still doesn't know what will happen next. All he knows is that the future of their family, Encanto, and the miracle itself somehow depends on Mirabel. But since the vision was changing, there's still a chance things could turn out differently. Then Bruno tells Mirabel that she should leave before anyone finds them, and he quietly sends her back out of the hidden passage. But then Mirabel suddenly gets an idea. Since Bruno can see the future, she asks him to create another vision. Bruno tells her he can't do it right now because his old vision cave was destroyed, and he needs a large open space to perform the ritual properly. Just then, Antonio arrives, after the rat secretly told him everything. He happily suggests that Bruno can use his magical jungle room instead. Bruno finally agrees. Meanwhile, the villagers are starting to panic because they've noticed the magic weakening, and even Casita is slowly beginning to crack apart again. Abuela tries calming everyone down while pretending everything is still under control. At the same time, Mirabel takes Bruno to Antonio's magical room. There, Bruno begins performing his ritual and uses his powers to look into the future once again. But at first, he only sees the exact same vision as before, so he starts stopping the ritual midway. However, Mirabel begs him to keep going and look deeper into the future. This time, Bruno sees a glowing butterfly inside the vision. When Mirabel follows the butterfly, she suddenly sees the magical candle shining brightly, and standing beside it, she sees herself hugging Isabel. The moment they hug, the candle's light becomes stronger and brighter. But instead of feeling happy, Mirabel becomes frustrated because she and Isabella can barely stand each other. Mirabel tells Bruno there's no way Isabella would ever hug her, especially after her engagement got ruined because of her. She also admits that she's at Isabella too. Bruno gently explains that the future of their family is now in Mirabel's hands, and more than anything, the family needs her. After saying that, Bruno quietly leaves. Gathering her courage, Mirabel decides to visit Isabella's room. She awkwardly tells her that she knows they've always had problems, but she wants to become a better sister. She says maybe they should forget everything and simply hug each other. But Isabella gets annoyed and tells Mirabel to leave immediately because her ruined engagement is all Mirabel's fault. Then she starts using her flower powers to push Mirabel out of the room. Mirabel apologizes, but in frustration, she blurts out that Isabella is selfish and only cares about herself. Hearing that makes Isabella furious. She finally explodes and admits that she spent her entire life trying to be perfect for the family. But Mirabel always ended up ruining everything. Mirabel argues that nothing is ruined and that Isabella can still marry Mariano if she wants to. But then Isabella shockingly reveals that she never wanted to marry Mariano in the first place. She was only doing it to make the family happy. Mirabel is stunned and asks why she never told anyone the truth. At that exact moment, because of Isabella's emotions, a giant cactus suddenly grows in the room. Instead of getting upset, Isabella becomes amazed. For the first time in her life, she created something imperfect completely by choice. That moment changes everything for her. Now Isabel finally feels free, and she starts creating all kinds of wild, colorful, and unusual plants based on her real emotions instead of trying to be perfect all the time. Soon, she and Mirabel start dancing and having fun together like real sisters for the very first time. Finally, the two sisters hug each other, and just like Bruno's vision showed, the magical candle starts glowing brighter and stronger again. But because Isabella's uncontrolled emotions caused strange plants and giant cactuses to grow everywhere, Abuela walks in and becomes furious after seeing the chaos. She immediately blames Mirabel and angrily says that she has ruined Isabella too. Mirabel tries explaining that what she did actually made the candle stronger, which proves she's trying to save the miracle, not destroy it. But Abuela refuses to believe her. She says Mirabel is the reason the cracks started appearing, the reason Bruno disappeared, and the reason Luisa is losing her powers. Abuela even admits she never understood why Mirabel didn't receive a gift, but says that doesn't give her the right to create problems for everyone else. Those words completely break Mirabel's heart. Mirabel tearfully tells Abuela that no matter how hard she tries, she will never be good enough for her. She says the family keeps trying to become more and more perfect, but Abuela is never truly satisfied. Then Mirabel finally defends Bruno and says he disappeared because Abuela only ever saw the bad side of him. Abuela angrily responds that Bruno never cared about the family, but Mirabel finally speaks the truth. She says Bruno loved the family more than anyone, and she loves the family too. Then she tells Abuela something shocking. The real reason the magic is breaking apart is not Mirabel, it's Abuela herself. As their argument grows more emotional, huge cracks begin spreading all across Casita again. The magical candle starts falling, and its light grows weaker and weaker. The entire family desperately tries to save the candle, but suddenly everyone's magical powers begin disappearing one by one. Meanwhile, with Casita's help, Mirabel climbs higher toward the candle, while the rest of the family rushes outside to escape the collapsing house. Everyone begs Mirabel to come back, but she refuses to give up. She finally grabs the magical candle, just as the entire house completely collapses around her. At the last second, Casita sacrifices itself to protect Mirabel. But sadly, the magical candle finally burns out, and its light disappears forever. Mirabel becomes devastated and believes everything happened because of her. Feeling guilty and heartbroken, she quietly leaves the ruins of Casita and walks away from Encanto alone. Meanwhile, the rest of the family desperately searches everywhere for her. Meanwhile, Mirabel sits beside a river alone. After some time, Abuela quietly comes to her. Mirabel immediately apologizes and tells her that she never meant for any of this to happen. She says she was only trying to become someone she wasn't. Then Abuela sadly explains that she never returned to this place before because this is the exact spot where Mirabel's grandfather was taken away from her years ago. It was also the place where the miracle first appeared and gave her a second chance at life. Abuela admits that she became so afraid of losing that miracle that she forgot something important. The miracle was never more important than her own family. With tears in her eyes, she asks Mirabel to forgive her and admits that Mirabel never hurt the family. In fact, Abuela realizes that most of the damage was caused by her own fears and pressure. Hearing this, Mirabel gently tells Abuela that she understands everything now. Abuela lost her home, her husband, and almost everything she loved. She spent years trying to protect the family so that those painful days would never return. Mirabel tells her that the miracle exists because of Abuela's love and sacrifice, and everything the family has today is thanks to her. Then she says that whatever has been broken, they will fix it together as a family. Hearing those words finally brings peace to Abuela's heart. Just then, Bruno suddenly appears. Nervous and emotional, he quickly tries defending Mirabel and tells Abuela that none of this was Mirabel's fault. He says if anyone should be blamed, it should be him. But instead of getting angry, Abuela simply hugs Bruno tightly. Bruno is completely shocked because for the first time in years, he truly feels accepted by his family again. After that, the three of them return home together. The moment the family sees Mirabel safe and reunited with Abuela and Bruno, everyone becomes emotional and happy. Mirabel then tells the whole family that they can rebuild Casita together. Soon, Abuela properly welcomes Bruno back into the family, and everyone happily reunites with him. Then something beautiful happens. The entire village arrives to help the Madrigal family rebuild their home. The same people the family spent years helping now come together to support them in return. Working side by side, everyone rebuilds Casita from the ground up. Finally, once the new house is complete, the family asks Mirabel to place the final doorknob on the front door. The moment Mirabel touches the doorknob and places it into the door, the miracle suddenly returns. Magic spreads throughout the entire house once again, and Casita comes back to life as the magical home they all love. Then, on the front door, a beautiful image of the entire Madrigal family appears, with Mirabel standing proudly at the center beside everyone else. And after all the pain, misunderstandings, and struggles, the whole family finally learns to love and accept each other for who they truly are. Everyone celebrates together happily, and with that, the movie comes to a beautiful, happy ending.